Thank you for making it to another episode of The Money Exchange. For those that are listening and those that are watching, you are here again with Patrina Dixon. It's My Money with Patrina Dixon, to be exact. So I'm your money coach. I'm here to talk about making that leap. Yes, that's taking that leap from being a 9-to-5 or a 5-to-9 or whatever that is to full-time entrepreneurship. The way that you could do that best is by having flexibility in your finances. And my guest today is going to talk about that. But before I do, I want to remind you of the mission of It's My Money, which I am the founder and CEO of. It's about helping more people become financially astute and people that want to earn additional money on the side by way of side hustles or becoming an entrepreneur. We do that by workshops inside of schools, universities, colleges, prisons, businesses, wherever there are people that want to know how to become more financially astute. We are the people that help you do that. So with me today, I have Chianté Jones. What's up, girlfriend?
Hey, how you doing, Patrina? Glad to be here.
Yes, I'm calling you one of my BFFs in the financial space. How about that?
I love it. I love it.
Yes, I'm so excited. So we're here today to learn, how do you make the leap from whatever your, like I said, whatever the hours is, 9-to-5, 5-to-9, 11-to-7, to full-time entrepreneurship. And I know for you, it was tied to having flexibility of money. So just drop us with that first tip of how you made that happen.
So one of the big things, like you said, was having financial flexibility, being able to create wealth, build it through investments, be able to reach, what's called coast five. So have enough in my retirement accounts to where if I didn't contribute anymore, it would be enough, at traditional retirement age. So it just gave some room, being debt free. It just gave consumer debt free. It just gave some space to be able to explore some other options besides just a traditional path of 9-to-5. So those were the main things, really creating that flexibility. But a big part of it also is your mindset about thinking of doing something different than the traditional path. So again, like Patrina said, I'm Chianté Jones. I'm a financial coach today. I have my own business, no financial coaching business today, but that was not always the case. I was that good girl, the rule follower, get the good grades, go to college, get the degree, get a good job. And so I worked with the federal government for 16.5 years. And then one day I found myself sitting across the table from my boss with tears coming down my face because my performance evaluation did not reflect the quality of work I had done for the year. And it was the first time I really felt like this can't be it, right? This can't be this cannot be it for the rest of my life, where you do all the things, you follow all the rules, you do the good work, and then somebody else has control ultimately over what they, giving you what they feel like what they feel like you deserve, and based on the value that they give you. And I just knew immediately that there was something else for me. There was something else that I needed to do, something more than just that. That can't be life, right? This can't be life. I do all of this, and this is it. And so that just really opened my eyes to new paths and possibilities. And from there, I just was more open, and entrepreneurship was what came to me as a way to do that. I knew money was going to be a big part of being able to have that freedom and flexibility, because money gives you options. So that's what kind of started me on this path, in late December of 2016. And from there, it's just been like a journey ever since.
Well, I was gonna, you dabbled, you touched it a bit, because I was gonna say, okay, you found yourself in this situation, and then you knew that you want to move into entrepreneurship. Why finances? Why helping people with finances? Your skill set, you could have gone into a different route. How did you land on, this is my situation, I'm gonna make what's called the leap, right? But why was the leap into helping others with personal finance?
So personally, I've always been pretty good at managing money, like my own personal finances, and just kind of have a natural knack for it. And for a long time, even teenager growing up, I did not realize that not everybody thought about money the same way, or, did the same things with their money. And it wasn't until I got a bit older that I realized that, oh, people really out here struggling with their money. They don't know, this thing that comes natural to me, it doesn't come natural for everybody else. And that people are really stressed. But even having a degree in finance and I worked in the banking and finance industry, like I said, for 16.5 years, even doing all that, it still was never oh, I'm going to help people with their personal finances. It wasn't until really I had that kind of that moment of, with the performance evaluation that opened my eyes. And it was a year later when I heard of financial coaching, that it really was oh, that's what I want to do. Coming out of school, I didn't know about financial coaching. There was investment banking, if you wanted to be a certified financial planner. And I just really didn't want to do those things necessarily. And so I was always wanting to do more of the day-to-day money management. That's really where I feel like I thrived and really had, the best expertise from my own personal experience and now from helping clients. But had I not had that moment of being open to entrepreneurship, I would have heard about financial coaching and be like, oh, that's nice. And never even thought about it anymore. But that's what made me realize it. And I also realized once I came across financial coaching, that there is a gap in financial assistance. Typically you have people who are really struggling just to make ends meet, keep a roof over their head. And you have those others on the other end of the spectrum who already have money, have some money, who are looking to work with a financial advisor or planner so they can manage their money better or like grow their money. But there's a lot of people who are professionals, are making good money, earning well, but they still don't have those key money management skills to really make their money work for them. They need like the basics. They still carrying too much debt, or they still don't know where their money is going, or there's not savings. And so as a financial coach, that's who I support, particularly women in that space.
Yeah. So what you just described, or who you just described, that's who I was. That's why I got into the business. That's exactly who I was. Like, it wasn't about I didn't make enough money. It wasn't about I didn't own a home or have a car. It was I just spent it as soon as I got it. It's funny. I was in a group setting, and I was sharing with the folks I was meeting with that the day that I used to get paid, I used to make 4 transactions before I even knew if the money was in the account. Like, I didn't even know if the employee, what if they made a mistake? I had no idea. I would stop and get with my daughter on her way to bring her to school and get whatever she wants, sometimes stop and got gas. And then as soon as I got to the office, went down and got coffee with coworkers. So I was like making transactions without even checking to see if the direct deposit was there, because I just assumed my employer put it in there. So 4 transactions without even trying to tell my money where it's going to go. I already spent it. It already left before I even had time to think about it. So that's very, very true. That gap is still there, because I think sometimes there's a misconception that the people that need financial education or to be more financially literate are people that are less fortunate. And that just is not true. So I'm glad to hear that your client base is of the women that who I was in, that propelled me into what I do today. So you mentioned this Coast FI, right? Not everybody know what that is. So can you briefly describe it, but can you go back to that so people can come with you as to what it is, and then why that was helpful to you to make the leap?
Yeah, so Coast FI, or financial independence, is basically when you have enough in your retirement accounts, or your 401k or any other retirement accounts, that you already have enough in there that over time it will grow to be a sufficient amount for you to retire at normal retirement age, say like 65 or something like that. So if you didn't put any more money in there, if you stop right now and didn't put any more money, like just from being in the market, it would grow over the years to be enough for you to be able to retire on. So that's what Coast FI. And for me, having that, realizing that was the case, because I had been contributing to my 401k since I started working. Like I said, I work for the federal government, U.S. Department of the Treasury. So immediately I started putting in there. I had, the employer match, and just from consistently putting in there, growing that over time, not even like with the real intention, like, okay, I want to, what a set amount I was trying to get to. It's just like, that's what you do. That's a good financial thing to do. I'm gonna do that. And I did just increase it as I, would get a raise, make more money. And to eventually I got to a point where I was maxing it out. But once I realized that, hey, I've hit this milestone in my retirement planning, that if I didn't even put any more in there, I could at least retire comfortably. I would like to add some more personally, but look, that'll come. But I feel like it's enough in there right now to where I'm well positioned to where I could I have more flexibility. I have some options. Like if I stop contributing for a couple of years, it's not going to be the end of the world, because technically there's enough in there now to be okay. Yeah. And so that was just a big piece of giving, like at least that peace of mind that, okay, you over time, this consistent habit of adding to that, your retirement accounts has positioned you where you can have some space to do something different. I'm not, so that was a big part of it.
And then, okay, so that was one component that you said, okay, I could take this, what I'll call it, this leap or break that you called it, to full-time entrepreneurship. Was that the only thing that made you comfortable with making that leap? So you looked at that number was the progression on that number is exactly where you wanted it to be, or comfortable enough where you want it to be. And then you also said you had this day in the room with your boss that also gave you a little nudge. What was that final thing that said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and bet on me? What was that?
The final thing, so there's a time lapse between when that moment in the office happened and like kind of my eyes were open, and then like this multiple year journey after that. So that moment was in December 2016. I didn't leave my job until January 2021. So I want people to, no, sorry, 2022. It was this year. My years are still messed up from COVID, y'all. I can't get it together. But yeah, it was this year, January 2022. So there was a time, a time period that went by between those points. But the pandemic, like, and along the way, I realized that, okay, at some point I probably will want to take the leap, or leave the job, do something different. But what really kind of sent me over is, one, just being honest with myself that this was something that I wanted to do. I didn't, my job wasn't toxic. It wasn't a bad situation. I actually liked the work I was doing. I just felt in my heart that it was something else. Like, I felt like I need to give myself a shot to do something else. And so I got to a point where, like, my fear of the uncertainty, my fear of the regret of never having tried outweighed the fear of the uncertainty of if I leave. And there was a lot of mindset work that came along.
Oh, wait. Let me have you restate that. Say that one more time, because I love that. I see that a lot now across social media, but say that again with what you just said about the fear and the regret.
Yeah, it got to a point where my fear of regret was greater than my fear of the uncertainty of trying something different, of taking that leap. And I mean, I feel like if COVID taught us anything, it's that things can change in an instant, right? Like our reality, our circumstances can change really fast. And I just started feeling like life is too short to not at least try. Like, what's the worst that could happen? What, I go out here and try it, and what, maybe have to go back to get a job, which that wouldn't be the end of the world, right? Like I said, I wasn't leaving a toxic situation. I didn't hate it. It's just I wanted to try something different, something that felt more aligned. I felt like I had kind of reached that place with my job at the time, like, okay, it's time for me to do something different, that perhaps this season is over. Yeah. And so that's kind of where I got.
And I love that you put it in perspective, because some folks that may be listening to this say, oh, I had a similar situation with my boss. Let me just go and take this leap and start this, whatever it is that they want to do. You're saying that this was, if I could do the quick math, 6 years after you had that discussion, that you prepared yourself for what now is full-time entrepreneurship, right?
Right. Yeah, because that moment happened in 2016, but it still wasn't like a year later until I figured out even what I wanted to do. I just knew at that moment it was something different. And then, like, over that next year, I kind of was open to hearing different things, open to exploring different things. And then it was like, late 2017 when I discovered financial coaching, opened my financial coaching practice in July of 2018. So I had been, doing it on the side for a few years and just dabbling in it and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a period of time, one, to financially prepare, one, to learn more about business, which I think that's an ongoing thing anyway. But then a lot of that was also just the mindset shift of a different path, of doing something different, so it was a journey all wrapped into one with different things.
Yeah. So now, did you begin your business while you were still working, or it start to acquire clients during that process?
I did. So I started it's called Dollars and Change, my financial coaching business, in July of 2018. And I was doing it on the side. So for 3.5 years before, like I said, I left in January 2022. So I was doing it for 3.5 years. And I mean, when you work in a full-time job, your capacity is limited. So it was like, I was working with some clients here and there. I was really learning a lot about business. And honestly, I was on my own personal development journey of just learning more about, about being an entrepreneur, or being even self-employed, and about, what is it that I really want, kind of get in touch with that, and how do I help people, how do I serve, my clients best. So it was a journey of that. But like I said, it was always like just working with a few clients at a time, couple clients at a time, and then finally getting to a place where, all right, I'm ready to go ahead and go all in on this and really see. And it is very different doing something on the side versus like, okay, I'm gonna go all in. So in a way, it's not starting from scratch, but I feel like I've started again, even because I'm doing it differently than what I was doing before, in a different capacity.
Now, you're a full-time entrepreneur, but some of your clients aren't. So do you still find yourself meeting at that after hour standpoint, after like what would be a 9 to 5? Or do you have clients that you meet with on those hours that are now free for you?
Yeah, I did end up changing my availability once I went full time, recognizing that a lot of my clients are still working, a full time job, working 9 to 5s. I do have a couple days a week where I have, some later appointments, some evening hours, and so, but I did stop working weekends at this point in time, and my client load right now allows for that, because part of it too was me doing this business was about creating a lifestyle that I wanted to create. So I wanted to be careful, and even still now, still being relatively new in it, to be careful about recreating what I was trying to leave, right? So like part of the reason why I wanted this business was not only to serve and help clients, but also to support the life that I wanted to live, to give me the space that I wanted to have. So it's been fine now. Like I do have, set hours. They are during the week. I have some evening appointments, but I do realize that my clients need that. But I have stopped working. Like before, I was, working some weekends, like Saturday mornings and stuff, because I was working full time too. But now I have shifted my hours to be more traditional, but still with some evening hours to be able to accommodate clients.
Yeah, I love it. So if people are listening, right, what would be 3 things, not if, for those that are listening, what would be 3 things that you would have people to really seriously consider and think about as they, or should I say, what should they consider or do before deciding to take the leap to full-time entrepreneurship?
So one of the first things is, of course, being a financial coach is like, get your money together, right? Just having your money together will give you the options. It'll give you the space. Like I'm all about money gives you options. And so like, it doesn't have to be perfect, but start paying off that debt. That'll free up some cash flow to do other things. And also if you take the leap, that means it's less that you have to worry about trying to, cover every month. So just really like honing in on your finances, getting clear on your finances. I think that's a key part of taking the leap. Because, especially if you're going like into entrepreneurship, because you got to be able to manage your business money, your personal money, you got to be able to manage all of that. Something else that I would say in preparing to take the leap is to be honest about what you really want. I think so often that we kind of follow this path that's been laid for us. You do all of the shoulds, that the success path. But I really feel like be honest about what you want and define success for yourself, or like even redefine it from what we've been conditioned to believe it has to be, conditioned to believe what it has to look like. Like really think about what's true to you. And that's a lot of work in itself, because there is so much conditioning. Even after me leaving my job, a big part of my journey since then has been like to try to unlearn some things and do some deconditioning, because like you just don't realize how deep it runs until even when you're out the situation, you're like, whoa, I'm still doing this or doing that and I don't have to do that anymore. I'm still thinking that way and I don't have to think that way anymore. And for 3, I would just say and this kind of ties in with the last one, just be open to different things, like be open to new possibilities, open to something different than what you thought it had to be. Like, like a lot of times we have this vision for our lives and something will happen to maybe disrupt that or whatever, but just being open. Like for entrepreneurship, for me, I was never entrepreneurial. Like it literally was that moment when, before that, I wasn't thinking about having no side hustle. I wasn't thinking about starting a business. I wasn't thinking about any of that. And so, that was like a disruption in my thought of like what I thought I was going to be doing. So just be open to different things and different avenues. So have your goal or your vision in mind of what you ultimately want to get to, but be open to the different paths that may get you there.
All right. And then we also have to add I'm not going to use this term either. Let's see. Anything that is not going the way that you thought it would once you became an entrepreneur. Like, is there anything that's like, I didn't realize this, or,
So yes. yes. So honestly, okay, there's a couple of things that I realized after leaving, right? One was how tired and burnt out that I was. Right? Like when you're in it, a lot of times you may not realize that. But I think after 2 years of being in the pandemic, like I just did not realize it didn't, well, and then 16 plus years of being, working in a job, like I did not realize I just needed a break. So like in my mind, I thought like, okay, I'm gonna quit the job. I have all this time. I could just like, so I'll take the leap and I'll just immediately hit the ground running in my business. And then I realized that I was doing things, but then I would be like struggling to do it sometimes or struggling to keep up sometimes, which I'll tell you the next thing that I realized. And I realized that some of it was I just needed to give myself some space to breathe for a minute. And I did take like a week vacation afterwards, you know, kind of called it my freedom trip, went down to Miami and all this kind of stuff. My husband and I went down to Miami to celebrate. But it's still, so looking back, I probably would have just planned to have some downtime. Like I would have like literally planned for that where I did nothing, but just kind of be and exist. Yeah. So that was one thing that I realized. I was just more tired and kind of burnt out than I had given myself credit for. Mm-hmm. Another thing that I've learned is like, so we all want time freedom, and that is great. I love it. I love being able to do whatever, like run to the store whenever I want to run to the store, not worry about a meeting. But our time freedom comes with responsibility comes with time freedom, especially if you're trying to run a business, because then it's on you to like manage your time, and part of that is self-management, right? Yeah. Like manage your time, because like if there's nobody else holding you accountable to that but you. Yeah. But before, you had the structure of your job, you had whatever meeting at whatever time, and you're gonna show up. And learning how to show up for yourself and do that on your own is something that I have found to be harder than I thought it was going to be. Right. Okay. So that things.
Okay. And what about consistency in clients? Like, I know you started before, before you made the leap, like, as an entrepreneur, there's ebb and flows. I know that you mentioned the retirement plan as where you had gotten that to close to 5, but it is a retirement plan, right? You don't look like you're at that age. So how did you manage the other component that doesn't allow you to tap there as you continue to go on and there's ebb and flows within the business?
Yeah, so I created a runway, and in full transparency, when I left my job, I was not generating enough income in my business like to fully cover my living expenses. So my first recommendation would be, if you can do that, if you can generate enough income before you take the lead, like build that bridge, use your job as the bridge and build, I would recommend that. But knowing that I was not generating enough income in my business to fully cover my living expenses, I just created a runway. I created a longer runway than I probably normally would have, knowing that this may take me a little longer, to give myself more space to ramp this thing up, to figure this thing out. And so that's one of the things that I did to compensate for that. And
wait, when you say created a runway, what do you mean? Like, just clarify what that means.
Yeah, I built up my savings. So I built up my savings.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah, to have enough to be able to live off of while I was, building the business, getting it established. Got it. Like I said, even though I had been doing it on the side, it was more like, really, like looking back now, it was more like an expensive hobby. I was doing like the business stuff, and I was helping out people here and there, but I was not so much worried about the income a whole lot, because I was still had my full-time job. I was like, oh, this is fine. I'm getting fulfilled by the people that I am helping, so it was more like that. But I would say that if you can create that consistent level of revenue, particularly at a level that fully supports you, or at least covers your baseline expenses, that would be a great way to go. But I just felt like it was time for me to go. I just kind of felt, like I said, in my heart, I knew that this needed to happen, because I had already tried switching positions. Like I had switched to a new position right before COVID hit, and so like that position had given me more flexibility with things. It was a little bit different pace, but it still did not take away that feeling of, you really want to leave and do this full time. So like, sometimes we'll try that to see, and like, nope, that didn't fully satisfy. It helped. It did help, right? But it didn't take away that desire to really want to leave. And so for me, even though I hadn't fully ramped up my business with enough revenue to support myself, I just felt like this is the time. Like, this is the time for me to go ahead and do this.
Now, I know another, again, hesitation for some, particularly people that are unmarried or have spouses that do not work, is the healthcare benefits, right? When you're married with a spouse that's working, that also offers medical, dental, et cetera, vision, that is a component that's not as worrisome. So what do you have to say about that component? I don't know your specific makeup on this, but I know that is sometimes a barrier for some, because we live in a country, especially those that live in the United States that's listening, because my podcast is international, so everybody's not in the United States, but those that are, that is a huge reason for hesitation. Any thoughts on that, given the fact that you've now done that?
Yeah, that was a huge point for me too, because like I said, coming out of college, I went straight into the federal government. So I always had like those good federal benefits, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
so and my husband is also self-employed. So that was a
Oh.
huge part. So it wasn't like we could rely on his job, like, the insurance through his job or anything. So it was very scary for me when you've already had that stability. I was a stability. So like, it was a big leap for us and it was a big move for us. My husband was always supportive of it. He's like, let's do it. He was more entrepreneurial than I was. And he's like, figure it out. And I'm like, but no, you ain't looking at the numbers yet, boo.
You're like, no, boo, dollars and change. We got to look at the dollars and change. Yeah.
Look at the dollars and change. So that in itself was kind of a process to get to comfortable enough with. And what we ended up doing, we ended up going with a health share. For us, we did look at like the marketplace and everything, but for us, the health share was a better option. So that's what we decided to start with. That's what we're on now. We use a health share. And as far as like dental and vision, I did pricing I got prices for all of that beforehand, so I could get an idea what it would cost. And we built up like a medical savings funds just so we could have some, tap into that as we need it. And really between the two of those, say for our eye exams every year, I don't know, maybe like $150 a piece or something like that. Like that's doable. You could save up for that. For our dental, basic dental care, preventive care, maybe $600 for the two of us to go twice a year. So like I just kind of got estimates for what it would cost for us to do these things on our own. And one of the big things I had to do though was make a mindset shift about the fact that was before, this is now, right? Because a lot of times it's like compared to like, well, in my job I used to have this. Well, yeah, you did at the job, but you could stay at that job if you want to. And you can have all those things, or you can choose to go this different path. And this is where you are now. And so I got to a place. I mean, like I think it's good to like at least have an idea, like just for comparison and analysis sake, like this is where it was, this is what it will cost. But I also just kind of like had to accept the fact that you're taking on a new identity. You're doing something different now than what it was. And so, and this is the way that you want to do. So instead of getting caught up comparing to what you used to pay or didn't pay, determine what you need now and figure out how to do that now. So that was a big part of making that shift. But it took me a while. Yeah. but that's what it was like. And just knowing that, so having savings built up and all that kind of stuff, just being okay with that.
I love it. So, Chianté. Oh my gosh, it's so cool that I can't say that. So, you've dropped some gems here. Some people are gonna say, I need help. How do they find you? What do you want to tell them? Like, how do they find you? What's your ideal client? So go ahead and drop that knowledge here before we end with what you want to wrap with.
Yeah, so my ideal client that I work with, I'm a financial coach for women, so particularly women like who are mid-career, high achieving, you've done well, you're well paid, but you feel successful in other areas, but money just has not been your thing. You could be doing more, you want to do more, you just need some help and support in that area. So that's what I do. I do that through one-on-one coaching. In a program, and you can find more information about that on dollarsandchange.com. And you can follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram at Dollars and Change Coach. So I'll be happy. I do a free consultation, be happy to talk with you, learn more about your situation to see if my financial coaching services are a good fit for you.
Awesome. And if you had to leave with the one drop the mic statement about whole financial COSFI, financial flexibility, or taking that lead, what would be the words of wisdom that you want to part with today?
Oh, girl, trying to sum it up. Well, you know what? I guess thinking about my journey is like, I would say, you don't have to follow the rules. You can make your own rules, right? Like, so often we've been sold like, this is the way you have to do it to be successful. But you can really create your own rules. It's your life. Do what feels aligned to you. And money will be a big part of being able to give yourself that. So that's why I do assist with money. I want to help remove money as that barrier to you really living that fulfilled life and that aligned life that feels right for you. Create your own rules.
Yes, I love it. And no, all of you listening and watching, you can do it too. This is what my show is all about, showing you, bringing you forth people that are telling you, giving you the roadmap blueprints, at least to the best of their ability through the time that we're together, what they actually did, the practical steps that they took so that you can do it too. Now, you want to be very mindful, and if you need to seek out professionals to help you through your process, but know that these things are doable. It's not just for those people or the people that you're listening or watching to. If this is something you aspire to do, you can do it too. So I thank you so much for being here today and dropping your gems. Her information is going to be down below in the show notes. And so that you can get all these great episodes, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're listening, if you're watching, and if you're listening, make sure that you're following us on whichever platform that you are listening to us on. Again, my name is Patrina Dixon. I'm the founder and CEO of It's My Money, which happens to be my trademark brand in a financial space. I teach people how to be better financial stewards. So I want you to be the best financial steward over your money. I want you to walk away with It's My Money. I'm going to do the best by it. I'm going to see it grow, and I'm going to make sure that I diversify it. So if you're interested in me coaching through workshops for businesses, groups, universities, colleges, businesses, events, look down below for my information as well. Thank you again for tuning in, and I appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me, Patrina. It's been fun.
You're welcome. See you.